Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our tactical breakdown series, show in which we look at the players that Arsenal have been linked to and we have an analytical breakdown of those guys and who might be signing for the Gunners this summer, in which we will get the thoughts and expertise of someone in the know, as well as looking deep into the statistical analysis of each of these players, and ultimately get your thoughts in the comment section too. So without further ado, let's crack on with today's show. Please make sure you're dropping a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Turn those notifications on so you never miss a show, and of course follow the guys that are involved with it, and as always check out their links in the description below. So Gerson, he is the Brazilian midfielder of Flamengo that we're talking about today. Not someone that I'd seen previously on Arsenal's radar, not someone I'd seen previously reported, but it's creeping up that Arsenal could be looking to show a little bit of redemption to the Brazilian midfielder, who of course has spent time already, even at a very young age, in Europe with Roma and has returned now to Brazil with Flamengo. And we're going to hear a little bit about that in just a second. Speaking of which, I'm very, very happy to be joined by Vinicius Furlan, who obviously has been on the show before. He helps us out with our Bruno Guimarães, basically a very, very sad breakdown, because I was desperate for the Brazilian to join us, but then he went off and joined Lyon instead and has absolutely smashed it since joining them. But Vinicius hopefully is not a bearer of bad news and is someone that is going to talk to us all about Gerson and tell us what this guy is all about.
Hey guys, it's me again. It's Vinicius from Brazil. Hope you guys are all right, and all of you and your family okay. And we are in this pandemic coronavirus stage. It's very hard here in Brazil too. And last time I was here to talk about Bruno Guimarães, who is now a Lyon midfielder, is excelling at the UEFA Champions League. And I'm here to talk about Gerson. Yeah, Gerson is a midfielder from Flamengo who recently was linked by his father to Arsenal, Everton and Spurs. And he's a very good player, right? He really can suit Arsenal's dream to reach the Champions League and reach, obviously, the Premier League title. As I said it before in my Twitter account, I said it. I don't think Gerson could walk into a midfielder and a three-way midfielder of Manchester United with Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba, and Matic. And I don't think that Liverpool also with, I don't like Jordan Henderson, but he's a very physical player by the Premier League and he reached the status that Liverpool fans want, and Klopp also. And obviously Manchester City with David Silva, Rodrigo, Fernandinho is it's a huge idol for me. And he recently played, 20 years ago, he played for my team, Atlético Paranaense, here in Brazil. But Gerson is a very, very physical player too. He's a player who can thrive under pressure. He played very, very well at Brasileirão. He changed Flamengo's midfield, and by far the best midfielder in Brazil. He can cut passes, cut the defense in half. He's a very, very nice player. He's not a bad defender, right? But he has a high percentage of yellow cards and red cards. But he can play as a number 6 in England. You used to talk that number 6 is a position. Here is like a deep holding midfielder and also a midfielder. He used to play as a playmaker also at Fluminense, Flamengo's rival, and when he was 17, 18 years old. And in my opinion, he went to Europe so early in his career. It was not a small decision. He could thrive in Brazil standards, which is very high for players in this age. I think Arsenal can well benefit from a transfer who reached, I don't think so, but 25, 30 million euros is not a amount that Arsenal could be very scared. I don't know. But I really, really think he's a great player. He's a great player for Tottenham, for Arsenal, for Everton, right? Arsenal is so much better. And Arsenal, yes, he can play at a position. Well, I don't know, man. He can be like Thomas Rosick in his early days. I don't know. He's but a bit closer to the defensive line, right? but he's a very, very nice player. And I really hope he could join Arsenal. As you know, I'm a United fan, but I love Arsenal. My best friend is Arsenal fan. Então, so I don't know, man. I don't know. It's very hard to talk about Gerson. He's like a joker, right? He can play a lot of positions. He can play as a striker, as he had. He can play as a playmaker, as a winger, and a deep line midfielder, a box-to-box midfielder. And I don't know, man. He's a very, very, very nice coup to Arsenal. Would not be very cheap, but not very, very pricey too. It's not like Jadon Sancho, who cost at least 120 million euros for United. My God, man. And well, I hope you guys enjoyed. It's very hard to say about players who's not by my team, but I followed his career when he was at Fluminense, and I love this channel at YouTube. I'm always watching, always cheering for Arsenal too, and I hope very, very, very much that you guys are okay, your family are okay due to this pandemic virus. And so, cheers, bye-bye.
A massive thank you to Vinicius for helping us out with the video. Please do go and follow his socials over on Twitter. You can follow him at Furlan TV and follow their site as well. Tretis, go and search it up on Twitter. All the links will of course be in the description below. But that was a really fantastic breakdown and obviously huge support to those guys over there, and how I hope things are going well in Brazil as well. But it isn't just the vocal side of things that we need to focus on and the descriptive side, but it's also the analytical and statistical side of things, whether we make our choice on whether Gerson is someone that could improve this Arsenal side. So let's delve into those with, of course, our trusty heat map. So looking at the screen now, you can see that Gerson, whilst he's a physical guy, and as Vinicius said, can play all over the park, typically is playing in that further forward part of the pitch. Now, these statistics, it says 1920 because the season in Brazil obviously runs year by year. So the 20 season, only 4 games so far have taken place. So these statistics are going to be basically more so from the 2019 season, so that we can see a more broadening view of the time that he spent in Brazil. Whilst in 2019 he was still in Italy for part of it, that isn't being shown on here. So this is purely what has happened since going back to Flamengo. So a more forward-thinking player in midfield than I thought he would be. Now that throws up sort of positional questions, because Arsenal, in terms of forward-thinking midfielders, we're pretty well stocked, and if we are to re-sign maybe Danny Ceballos next season, we don't know. If we're going to sign another attacking midfielder, there are likes of Joe Willock, for instance, that want to be playing in a more advanced midfield role, and it's actually the more defensive side of the midfield that maybe Arsenal need to focus on. We're being linked with the likes of Thomas Partey, and I'm going to come on to a point about that towards the end of the video, but it's interesting to see that we're being linked to someone like this, but I have a theory as to why, but we'll come back to that. So attacking stats, 2 goals, 4 assists, not many shots on target being made in each game, and actually when they are, he does like to take a fair few of those from outside of the box, as you can see from that graphic there. 26.9% of those are being hit on target, and that does come from a low percentage success rate when he's taking so many from outside of the box. Shot assists, quite low. Crosses we'll come on to in a bit. Dribbles, 3 of those with a 63.9% success rate is good, but he's not a high dribbler. He's not a person that's going to be driving at the opposition too often in a game. Offensive duels, 10 and 50 over 50% of those are being won. The fact that 50% is a good statistic, but I'd like to see that slightly higher for someone as physical as Vinicius described. Doesn't like to get into the penalty box too often, even though we saw his heat map showing much more in the opposition's half. Maybe that's possibly then down to Flamengo's dominance in games rather than the player's actual style. Moving then on to his passing statistics. Passing wise, 48.89 passes being made in each game with a 90% success rate is very, very good. Like to see that accuracy as high as it is. 2.77 long passes married with a 55% success rate is also okay. Not part of his game, prefers to be more technical in his passing. Doesn't like to spray the ball out too much. Leading to through passes being also quite low with a 42.4% success rate. Crosses, he's not a wide player, not part of his game, leading to quite low assists, XA, and second assists also being low. Passing to final third though, 7 of those being made in each game with an 83.8% success rate. This guy is an accomplished passer, and I like to see that, especially for someone that could be linked to a move to Arsenal. Passes into the penalty area, 2 of those being made. So for a deeper midfielder, as described previously, maybe he isn't so married to that position as we previously thought. Receiving the ball 33.84 times in each game shows that he does not shy away from the ball. He wants to get the ball as much as feasibly possible and make things happen from the centre of the park. Forwards backward pass ratio is positive, which I like to see. However, there's still quite a lot of backward passes involved, leading to a 94% success rate, which could be a reason as to why his pass accuracy is so high. Maybe if he was a little bit more adventurous with forward passing, and with that 78.5% success rate of forward passing, maybe that is an Achilles heel to his game. Finally, then, looking at the defensive statistics, 6.56 duels in each game, with over 50% of those being won, winning 43.8% of his aerial duels and 42.2% of his loose ball duels. That is a fairly solid amount of statistics, although for a really successful, challenging, industrial, successful centre midfielder that wins the ball back, I'd like to see those percentages to the high 50s, possibly even the 60s. So he's still got some development to do, but he is still very young. Sliding tackles, not too much part of his game, but he's making nearly three interceptions in each game, which is very good. Losses in his own half, 7.65, mostly down to those adventurous forward passes when he likes to make them, which isn't as often as it seems when we looked at his passing statistics just a second ago. Recoveries, though, nearly 6 of those, so he's nearly levelled up his recoveries to his losses, but the fact that it's a negative ratio there is a little bit concerning. Clearances, one of those being made in each game, with a fouls 2.43, yellow cards to red cards. Vinicius talked about the guy's lack of discipline here and there, and that is a high foul count. Over 2 of those in each game shows that he does make a fair few. And would that marry to the Premier League physicality wise? If it could be tamed, if it could be controlled, then all is good with that. So there you go. Everything that you could possibly want regarding Gerson of Flamengo. Let me know what your thoughts are on the midfielder. My thinking is, and I talked about this previously with the Partey side of things, is this is a backup option. This is how I'm feeling about it. Thomas Partey, if by some miracle, which I still think is a bit of a long shot, we do pull off a deal for the Ghanaian international, this deal doesn't happen. If for some reason we don't happen to get Thomas Partey, this is another option for that midfield slot. Partey is not an out-and-out defensive midfielder. Gerson is by far no means that either. And so I think that those two are plan A, maybe plan B, maybe even plan C, Gerson is. I'm not so sure as to how it marries up and how obviously Arsenal are looking at these things. But Gerson is definitely a reasonable option in this climate of financial restrictions. We could see him move into Arsenal this summer, who knows, but I personally would much prefer to see Thomas Partey in an Arsenal shirt. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'm really intrigued to get your thoughts. A massive thanks again to Vinicius for helping us out, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Stay safe, stay well. Please make sure you're looking after the people around you and staying safe yourself, and as always, up the Arsenal.